Conservative Media peeps, what's up? It's me, John D. Villarreal, and Paul at Villarreal. Now, we just watched this UFC fight against Josh Koscheck and George Rush St. Pierre for the UFC Welterweight Championship of the World. It went down in the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and George St. Pierre retains his title as the UFC Welterweight Champion. Now, the fans there went crazy, and they were all fired up. But I have to tell you, and it was a unanimous decision, and I don't question that at all. I definitely had George St. Pierre winning this fight. But it was a very underwhelming fight. And I think it was a fight that Josh Koscheck had every ability to win. GSP kept trying to take him down. He was stuffed a bunch of times in trying to do that. And anytime he took Josh down, he immediately got up. Josh looked to me to be a lot of times the stronger, the fresher, the better conditioned athlete. The stronger puncher, but he just wasn't getting off. GSP was eating him up with that jab, and early in the fight, Josh's eye, his right eye was just swollen up very badly. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Maybe he cracked an orbital bone. Maybe it was a knee coming in. I don't know exactly what happened there, but that seemed to hamper him the entire fight. I think he was basically a one-eyed fighter in the match, and GSP just kept him at range with the jab. Again, it's another extremely boring GSP win. Look, on the one hand, I give GSP all the credit in the world because he did exactly what he needed to do to win. He game planned it, he executed it. If you can't beat GSP at what he does, then you don't deserve the championship. That's the thing. On the other hand, you keep hearing all this, oh, GSP, pound for pound the best, and oh, the best in the world, all this type of stuff, and I'm just not buying it. I think the guy is definitely very vulnerable. I think that Josh definitely scared him, and had Josh's eye not gotten hurt, and who knows what would have happened. But that's the way fights go down. I just don't know. I think there's a lot of people out there that could give him some problems, but I don't know, Paul. I mean, how did you see this fight?
Yeah, I saw it similarly, John. I think that GSP is not the number one in the world. I think it's still Fedor, then Anderson Silva, and then GSP. Look, I mean, he doesn't finish fights. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing to say. Yeah, he's dominating and he beats these guys that, or whatever, can't quite get in or get a little puffed up eye with the jab, but he's not dominating enough. And like you said, every time you watch him fight, he looks vulnerable. Yeah, okay, Anderson Silva, KO Sonnen, but apparently, in that fight, Anderson Silva apparently had a broken rib or a busted rib going into the fight. He still won. He won with a finish. I mean, that's the difference between Fedor, Anderson, and GSP. They finish fights. GSP doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. BJ Penn, BJ Penn's order, he went up in weight class, came back, and just destroyed Matt Hughes. I mean, look at that kind of explosiveness and that kind of finish right there. Even Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar looks a lot better at 155. And we'll see him against Greg Maynard. I think both those guys are awesome. And I think that, like, Alistair Overeem, who can beat Alistair Overeem right now? Just the K1.
I think we heard, I believe, I'm not sure to check it, but I think Alistair Overeem won a K1 tournament like yesterday or today. And just like I said, look, I respect GSP. And like you said about him, I respect him. He's good. He's professional. He works on his game and everything. When you're talking about really dominating and really like crowd-friendly styles, it's not quite there.
Look, I mean, the only place, in my opinion, you can continue to sell these GSP type of fights is in Montreal, Canada. And yeah, they had record attendance, and the little Quebecers, yay, they love it. But listen, and they were such hometown fans. Anytime GSP was looking a little vulnerable, it was like, oh, they're so scared. But then as soon as GSP did it, hey, GSP. And listen, he's the champion, and he keeps winning. And you have to give your props to him. But that is just, if you're an honest Canadian MMA fan, you cannot tell me he's the best in the world, let alone the best pound for pound. You see these fights that just went down in Strikeforce. You see Paul Daly, who Koscheck destroyed against Scott Smith. You've seen some of these other fights that have happened. And that last Strikeforce card was unbelievably great. I mean, everyone, there was all kinds of excitement. Robbie Lawler and Dan Henderson and stuff like that. And then you're trying to tell me that GSP is the best pound for pound in the world. Have him face Jake Shields then. Have Jake Shields go back down to 170, see what happens. I mean, I'm not buying it, dude. I'm not buying it. If he's so great, if GSP's the best pound for pound, have him face Anderson Silva. Do it at a catchweight, see what happens. I mean, it's just, there's no way. He's nowhere close to the league of Anderson Silva. Here, let me tell you what GSP is. GSP's a guy that has, gets himself through training in physical. He's just is a physical specimen. He gets himself in tremendous physical condition and strength. He probably cuts a lot of weight to get down there. He's just bigger and stronger than most people we face now, and a better wrestler. That's how he wins. He's got some striking. He's got some other stuff. He's not some great striker, great technical striker. He doesn't do anything really great. He just kind of did the Matt Hughes formula, just be a little bit bigger and stronger and better condition than anyone else in your weight class. Though he ran into Josh Koscheck and he couldn't really do that. Couldn't really muscle him around anymore. And I think that if he goes up a little bit in weight or faces any kind of catch weight, he's gone. Or if he faces someone that, if Thiago Alves now comes back and Thiago Alves can somehow neutralize some of the wrestling from GSP, which I don't think he can. I mean, did you really think Thiago Alves or GSP can outstrike Thiago Alves? Dude, he will get eaten up. And even, so that's the thing. Look. I give GSP all the credit in the world. He's a great champion. He does what he needs to do to win. But do not sell me on he's so exciting and he's best pound for pound and the best in the world. I'm not buying any of that. He's just a guy they can market and sell, and that's what they're doing. It's a promotion. It's a business at the end of the day. Do you agree with that, Paul?
I do agree with it. Again, he's doing what he's capable of doing. We respect that. We appreciate his professionalism and his skill. I mean, he's learned a lot of various skills like wrestling and some technical striking. When it comes to excitement and dominance, he dominates his fights, but it's not in a satisfying way. It's like watching Floyd Mayweather fight. Yeah, he'll win, but he's going to kind of run around and jab the whole fight. Well, and it's not particularly satisfying for a lot of people.
And it reminded me of how Tim Sylvia won a lot of his fights as heavyweights, and people didn't like that, and it seemed that some people were kind of getting bored of that. He was just a big guy and would just jab and out jab people. We've never seen his MMA. Yeah, we saw from Tim Sylvia who won a ton of championship heavyweight fights with just a long jab and being a really tall guy that people couldn't get to. And that's fine. You can do it. And he even said, like, hey, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, my job is to win, whatever, So, it is what it is. People out there that want to believe GSP is the best in the world or, pound for pound, in my opinion, you're crazy, okay? But, he's a great champion. He does his thing. I'm just not sold on this whole GSP hype or anything like that. I think he's good until someone beats him. It is what it is. But let me flip it around. GSP couldn't take out basically a one-eyed fighter tonight in 5 rounds in his hometown. That's all you need to know. He couldn't take him down and certainly couldn't hold him down. The very few times he barely got him down, and he couldn't outstrike him and knock him out. So what's all the training Freddie Roach? Where's all the GSP power? It's not whatever. That's ridiculous. So whatever. Josh Koscheck is great. GSP wins. Again, he gets all the credit. They both were classy in the win there. But in my opinion, in order to sell these fights beyond canon, let alone these pay-per-views, they're going to have to come up with something a little more interesting for GSP. That's what I think. Anyway, that's my opinion. Hey, for Conservative Media, this is an MMA report. That is Paul. I am John. This is our report for the GSP versus Josh Koscheck fight. GSP retains his welterweight championship title at UFC 124 in Montreal, Canada. For Conservative Media, we'll see you next time.